All right, a final look at Karnataka and its clash with UPI. I'm going to take you through a quick detailed analysis here. The Karnataka state traders are very angry. In Karnataka, a growing number of small traders and auto drivers are now pushing back against UPI payments, and the backlash is quite real. One auto rickshaw driver in Bengaluru reportedly refused to accept UPI and asked for cash instead, but the customer wasn't convinced. He walked away without actually paying, bragging about it on social media. He said, "You either take UPI or I'm leaving, I'm not paying you cash." So the auto driver, poor guy, was helpless, and this man actually raves about it on social media, and he got criticized for it. The man said that he booked the auto via a ride-hailing app, and since the auto driver had already marked the trip as paid, he refused to pay. Told him that UPI or nothing. He threatened a bit, but it seems like the auto driver did not have his way because he had nobody by his side to fight for it. But this move backfired. Of course, many of them on social platforms slamming the customer for doing this. In fact, the conflict here has risen from the fact that many of the traders in Karnataka now claim that they've received notices, GST tax notices for their UPI payments. Another post I'm going to take you through on Reddit, where a middle-class Indian went against these vendors and traders, saying that they are trying to dodge tax, which is why they are refusing to pay on UPI platforms. The Redditor says salaried people are often paying tax. We are the ones who are burdened. We pay income tax. We have hardly any savings and all of that. We have medical claims and whatnot to pay for, but yet we pay our taxes. Then why can't the others? Why can't vendors? Why can't traders pay taxes adequately? Of course, there was a lot of pushback to this as well. The post has reignited the national debate now on tax fairness, digital accountability, and whether the rules are the same for everyone. So the question is, should small vendors also be pushed into formal system, or do they need a break given their daily struggle to survive? Remember, Karnataka traders are now going on a protest against UPI payments, or against rather tax notices given on their UPI payments from 23rd to 25th of July. So they're already now ripping apart the UPI posters, or what they've actually pasted, the UPI cards. They're pulling it out and they're putting out messages saying only cash, no UPI. So Karnataka traders are certain they want to push back against these notices because they say that they're too poor to pay taxes in a way. Joining me for this a little more to give us some understanding on what this is all about is Nisha Najumuddin, economist and public policy expert. We also have Surabhi Hodigere, spokesperson of the BJP Karnataka, and Vivek Menon, civic expert and former advisor to CM of Karnataka. Let me start with Surabhi Hodigere. Surabhi, BJP has pushed for Digital India, pushed for payments to go on UPI. At a time like this, Karnataka traders who are really, for them, the means to their life is very humble. And at a time like this, they're getting tax notices. They claim the government has fooled them. They pushed them into digitization, and now they're swindling tax from them.
Thank you, Nabila, for that question. This is not an anti-UPI moment that we're seeing here. What we're seeing here is the notices that have been sent to small traders, to small vendors, street vendors particularly, having a disproportional sort of requirement to pay GST. That is the issue that we are seeing, and that this I'm not saying this merely by the news reports or primary research. I'm saying this because the BJP in Karnataka has opened a helpline through which we have received hundreds of calls, where we have had conversations with street vendors, with a lot of people who have been facing this issue, and it's a disproportional amount. The news has reported one such incident where a street vendor, a vegetable vendor, has gotten a tax notice of up to 29 lakh. Now tell me, where is, it doesn't make that kind of sense unless somebody is selling in crores of vegetables, which is not what is logical or commonsensical at this point in time. Therefore, we point the blame squarely at the state tax department that has issued these notices, whether it was through error or intentionally. This needs to be taken into account and made sure that there is rectification of that. It is the state that is doing wrong. It is the state that is going wrong, and that accountability has also been accepted, with CM Siddaramaiah coming out and saying that if we will do a no GST campaign, we will ensure that the right kind of notices are issued, and we will also raise this in the GST Council. This is a misstep by the state government, and we support the vendors who have received these unfair notices and hope that there is resolution soon.
It's a state issue, not a center issue. But as far as I know, a GST tax notice usually comes from central bodies. I'm not too sure where the error is. What's your take on Karnataka traders feeling slighted that they were pushed into UPI payments, and now years later they're actually paying taxes in retrospect?
What is the meaning of pushed into UPI payments? There has never been a push.
No. My question to Vivek Menon, please.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, Nabila, obviously, the tax regime that exists today is quite aggressive. I mean, in terms of, and I think this has been debated by the GST Council and various other forums, 18%, is pretty significant. And for somebody who's who's eking out a living, a lot of these traders, I mean, obviously the limits have already been set. There's 40 lakhs for goods and 20 lakhs for services. But at the same time, it's a very complicated tax regime. I mean, even I run a business, and, if I have to file tax, I have to file almost 24 returns in a year, and this is just for one branch of mine. And if you have 5 branches, then it's 240. At 10 branches, there's 240 returns. So I think, in a certain sense, these people who probably eke out a living from day to day, they're not really sophisticated enough to be able to file such tax returns. And I think that is where the entire tax regulatory compliance becomes a big problem. And I think also to a certain extent, these traders face extortion at every level. And I think to a great extent, I don't want to make this political, but I think the Congress has shot itself in its foot to a great extent, because I think what has happened is today, with all the freebies that they've given, the coffers are empty, and today they're trying to somehow or the other fill them up. And that's why you're seeing a lot of different taxes that are coming in, the solid waste management cess, all of these, and these are a burden. Now, of course, it's not to say that traders shouldn't pay taxes, but I think there's a huge trust deficit that exists today between the common man and the government. And the excesses of the government are what we are ending up paying for. Many of these traders don't get any kind of support from the government.
So Vivek, can you clarify a little if this is a state subject or a central subject? Tax notices comes from where?
GST does have 2 components. There is a component of state GST as well as central GST, and then of course on certain things there's IGST, which is obviously a central thing. So I'm presuming that here there's a component of both. I'm presuming also that there are certain essentials which are exempt from taxes, like your milk, your everyday groceries. All of that is exempt from taxes. But I'm sure traders do get at least a 5 to 18%. I'm not sure where the tax slab lies, and that's the complication. Not many people are really aware of what these tax slabs are. Where do I file something like this?
That's the tragic part. And
Yes.
I don't think the center or the state is at this point explaining to them, making this clear, and basically settling their doubts. It's very sad that the traders have to move back to cash, because India was seeing a revolution, walking out without a wallet, just with your phone, making your payments. But now tax notices are clearly going to be burdening them. A final word, Nisha, if you can give me your take on what you think of the vendors now feeling really slighted, upset that they will not use UPI again because they don't trust it now.
See, when the traders switch on to cash, I would say that Indian economy is a king of cash. In fact, I would say that before 2016, a lot of transactions were happening in cash. Even today, it is happening. So that is why we came up with the so-called digitalization of Indian economy. It is indeed very important. Now, we switch to the cash back again, that to the small traders and vendors. Literally, this is having a huge impact on the digitalization perspective, because the so-called digital India objective of a government of India becomes a question mark, right? And switching to cash again hurts the economy for the fact that, point number one, it starts undermining the transparency to a greater extent, because UPI creates a digital paper trail where cash is opaque to some extent, right? And again, moving to cash, if you see, what will happen is that it is like paving a path for tax evasion. I repeat,
Correct.
it's not tax avoidance, rather tax evasion, and also black money. Right. And now, aren't we not going for a digital economy setback? This is indeed, a problem. And talking in economic terms, I would say that it will also lead to a lot of, loss in the fiscal revenue that we get.
Correct.